I'm Daisy Blench and I'm the Green Party candidate for North Herefordshire for the general election.
And the reason you're here today is the NHS, because it's very important to everyone really.
The NHS is one of the issues that has come up most on the doorstep and out in the street with people. I think people are rightly hugely concerned about it. I think the NHS is the absolute bedrock of our public services. However, it's been under immense pressure in recent years, and I think people have realised that the policies we've seen under the coalition government have absolutely failed and that we need a new approach. So the Greens, as well as making sure that we have proper funding for the NHS, and we would commit an extra 12 billion of funding to fill that gap, we also say that profit has no place in our NHS, and that's something which 38 Degrees and others have been campaigning about for a very long time. And we've seen Hereford Hospital, of course, is under huge pressure. It was built under the PFI system and is now paying far over the odds for its repayment. So the Greens say no to privatisation and profit within the NHS. We say that that has no place within the NHS. It must be a fully funded public service, free at the point of delivery. So for us, this is a massive issue, and we have been campaigning strongly on it, and we will continue to campaign strongly on it.
In the north of Herefordshire, is there anything that differs from South Herefordshire that you'd like to highlight?
I think we've got a lot in common, of course. I think across the county, we're a rural county, and both constituencies have a lot of small businesses in them. I think the small business issue is obviously a huge one, and I think perhaps sometimes the Greens are portrayed as perhaps a bit anti-business, but in my view, and particularly this time round, I think we're more and more placing ourselves as actually the party of small business. We believe that small businesses are the backbone of our economy, both in the county and beyond. And so we would say we need to support those small businesses more. We need to make sure that they are able to grow and develop and create jobs in areas like Herefordshire, both in North and South Herefordshire. So that we're talking about businesses here like our pubs and our restaurants, our small farmers, of course, and we must make sure that our policies support those. So the Greens, as well as improving infrastructure in areas like this, and by that rural transport is of course a huge issue. If we don't bring tourists in, and we don't have people coming to support those fantastic businesses, then we can't get people here. But of course also policies to make sure that those businesses can thrive, and that's things like tackling business rates and making sure that we address the national insurance contributions that small businesses pay. We're very keen for businesses to pay the living wage, but we mustn't make sure that they are unable to do that. We must make sure we support those small businesses to provide those good jobs in areas like Herefordshire. I think that housing, again, has been one of the huge issues of this election. I think that particularly in Herefordshire, with 5,000 people on the list for social housing, I think that it is, of course, a massive issue and something that all parties are trying to address. And I think the Greens have been clear that we do need to build more social housing. We would seek to build 500,000 new socially rented homes. Other parties, of course, have committed to this as well. But what I think is absolutely crucial is, of course, that those homes are good homes. They're warm homes, they're well built, and they are actually ensuring that we have lower energy bills for people, and they're lower impact on the environment. And this is something that Greens have been campaigning about for a long time, to make sure that building standards are up to scratch. So that is crucially important. Also, of course, local democracy with regard to building these homes is very important too. And we would say you'd get much less backlash about housing development. Firstly, if you're making sure that you always concentrate on brownfield first, and that you're bringing empty buildings back into use, but also that you have proper local democracy and local plans. And this is something which, of course, has been a big issue around here, in making sure the core strategy and, of course, the local plans in different areas, we must make sure there's enough focus on that, and there's enough knowledge amongst people about how they can influence the planning process and how they can make sure that houses are situated in the right place, but also that there's the infrastructure to support them. So I think it's crucially important that we do build homes and build some more homes, but also that we look at other options for creating housing, but it's the right kind of housing, because there's no point, as you say, building housing that is not warm and is not a good home for people to live in, and the least environmental impact that it can be. We talked a bit, of course, about local tourism, and I think it's linked to that. It's so important that the town, both Hereford and Leicester and all of our market towns, are attractive and a nice place for people to come and be, and that's so important when you've got businesses like local pubs and shops which you want people to come to and you want people to enjoy. So I think what's important here is that we actually give local authorities both the funding and the control to be able to look after our towns properly, and too often we find that they're either being asked to do tasks and being asked to carry out functions locally and they don't have the money for it, or we're giving a false sense that local authorities have more power than they do, and actually that's being held at Westminster. So what we would say is decisions and actions that affect the local area are best taken at the most local level, and we would seek to make sure that local authorities are empowered to develop their towns, both economically and with regard to making sure that buildings, we have a better look in the town, and the buildings are cared for and looked after and rebuilt, and that we actually attract people to come to our town and enjoy them.
Daisy, as our Green candidate, I'd like to present you with this petition from 38 Degrees, which asks you to put NHS top of your priorities.
Thank you.
It's been signed by virtually everybody we've asked to.
Thank you. I think the NHS has consistently come up as a huge issue in this election, so thank you very much for the work you're doing.